Hello, my dear friends. I am Devanshi. Today, let's summarize the chapter Nutrition in Animals, that is, chapter number 2 of Ncert Class 7 Science. Now, let's start with the topic what is nutrition? Animal nutrition basically includes nutrient requirements, mode of intake of food, and its utilization in the body. Now let's talk about the process of digestion. The breakdown of complex components, or you can say substances, of food into simplest substances is known as digestion. Okay? Now there are various ways of taking in food. Now let's talk about the digestion in human beings. The food passes through a continuous canal which begins at the buccal cavity and ends at anus. The canal can be divided into various compartments. First is the buccal cavity. Second comes the food pipe or the esophagus. The third one is the stomach, the fourth one is the small intestine, the fifth one is the large intestine, and the last is the anus. In between the large intestine and anus there is rectum. Now these parts together form the alimentary canal or the digestive tract. The inner wall of substances of food into simpler ones. The digestive tract and the associated glands together constitute the digestive system. There are mainly 3 glands in human beings, which include the salivary gland, first one, which is present in the buccal cavity, basically the mouth. Then second one is the liver, and the last one is the pancreas. Now let's know about the process of ingestion. Basically, the process of taking in food, or you can say the process of taking food into the body is known as ingestion. Ingestion basically takes place in buccal cavity or the mouth. Buccal cavity and the mouth are basically same things. The salivary gland, teeth, and tongue are the 3 important parts of buccal cavity. The buccal cavity has, as I told you, has salivary glands, and salivary glands have saliva, and saliva secretes salivary amylase. This breaks down the starch into the sugar. The next part is the tongue. The tongue is a fleshy muscular organ attached at the back to the floor of the buccal cavity. It is free in front and can be moved in all directions. The last part is the teeth. Teeth are of 4 kinds, that are incisors, canine, premolars, and molars. Now let's talk about the food pipe or the esophagus. The swallowed food passes into the food pipe or the esophagus. The food pipe runs along the neck and the chest. Food is pushed down by the movement of walls of the food pipe. This movement is known as peristalsis movement. Actually, this movement takes place throughout the alimentary canal and pushes the food downward. And the most important point, that no digestion process is included in buccal cavity as well as esophagus. The third one is the stomach. Here's where the digestion process starts. The stomach is a thick walled bag, and it is in the shape of a flattened shape, and it is the widest part of the alimentary canal. It receives food from the food pipe or the esophagus at one end and opens into the small intestine at the other. The stomach secretes mucus, hydrochloric acid, and digestive juices. The inner lining of stomach secretes mucus. Then the mucus protects the lining of the stomach. Then the acid, that is hydrochloric acid, kills many bacteria that enters our body along with the food and makes the medium of our stomach acidic. This helps the digestion very quick. Okay, now last one is the digestive juices. Digestive juices breaks down the protein into simpler substances. So this was about the stomach. Then the fourth part of alimentary canal is the small intestine. The small intestine actually is bigger than the large intestine. The small intestine is a highly coiled and is about 7.5 meters. It receives secretion from the liver and the pancreas. Besides, its wall also secretes juices. Now let's talk about the second gland, that is the liver. The liver is a reddish brown gland situated in the upper part of the abdomen on the right side. It is the largest gland in the body and it secretes bile juice that is stored in a sac known as gallbladder. The bile juice plays an important role in digestion of fats. Now, the third gland present in our body in human beings is the pancreas. This is the last amongst the three that are that I have told you as salivary glands, then liver, and third one is the pancreas. The pancreas is a large cream-colored gland located just below our stomach. The pancreatic juice acts on carbohydrates, proteins and fats and changes them into simpler forms. The partly digested food now reaches the lower part of the small intestine where the intestinal juices completes the digestion of all components. The carbohydrates get broken into simpler sugars such as glucose, fats into fatty acid and glycerol and proteins into amino acid. Now let's talk about the absorption in the small intestine. The digested food can now pass into the blood vessels in the walls of the intestine. This process is known as absorption. The inner wall of the small intestine have thousands of finger-like structures known as villi, or you can say thousands of finger-like outgrowths, and these are known as villi or villus in singular. Then the villi increase, these are the functions of villi. The villi increase the surface area for absorption of the digested waste. Now, second thing that villus do is each villus has a network of thin and small blood vessels close to its surface. The surface of villi absorb digested food material. The absorbed substances are transported via the blood vessels to different organs of the body where they are used to build complex substances such as the proteins required by the body. And this process is known as assimilation. Assimilation. Now let's talk about the large intestine. The large intestine is wider and shorter than small intestine, as I told you, and it is about approximately 1.5 meters long in length. Its function is to absorb water and some salts from the undigested food material. The remaining waste passes into rectum and remains there as semi-solid phases. Now, here comes the last process, that is egestion. There's a difference between ingestion and egestion. Ingestion is the first process, that is the taking in of food, and egestion is the process of removal of waste materials from our body. The facial material or the matter is removed through the anus. This was the function of anus from time to time. Then this process is known as egestion. Now let's talk about digestion in some grass-eating animals. Actually, they quickly swallow the grass and store in a part of stomach called rumen. Here, the food gets partially digested, and this food is known as cud. But the later cud returns to the mouth in small lumps, and the animal chews it completely. And this process is known as rumination, and thus such animals are known as ruminants. Actually, why can't we digest grass? Actually, the human stomach pH value is 1 to 3, that is acidic, and cow's stomach pH value is 7, that is neutral. And digestion of grass, actually grass is rich in cellulose, and cellulose is a type of bacteria, or you can say carbohydrate. Okay, uh, cellulose is a type of carbohydrate, and the digestion of cellulose cannot be done in acidic medium. In ruminants like a cattle, deer, etc., bacteria are present in rumen, and this helps in the digestion of cellulose, which is a type of carbohydrate. Many animals, including humans, cannot digest cellulose, including wild animals too. Now, animals like horses, rabbits, etc. have a large sac-like structure known as scrotum between the esophagus and the small intestine. The cellulose of the food is digested here by the action of certain bacteria which are present in humans. And so this was about the digestion in human beings. Then the digestion in plant eating animals, actually you can say grass eating animals. And here comes the last topic for today, that is digestion in amoeba. Amoeba is a microscopic and a single-celled organism that is mainly found in water, pond water basically. And amoeba has a cell membrane, a rounded, dense nucleus, and many small bubble-like vacuoles in its cytoplasm. Amoeba constantly changes its shape and position. It pushes out a finger-like projection known as pseudopodia, or the false feet, for movement and capture of food. Amoeba feeds on some microscopic organisms which are smaller than itself. Like amoeba is itself very small, and it feeds on organisms which are smaller than it. When it senses food, it pushes out the pseudopodia, or the false feet, around the food and particle, and then it engulfs it. The food becomes trapped in the food vacuole, and the digestive juices are then secreted into the food vacuole. They act on the food and break it down into simpler substances. Gradually, the digested food is absorbed here. The absorbed substances are used for growth, maintenance, and multiplication of amoeba. The undigested residue of the food is expelled outside by the food vacuole. So this was all for today. Hope you learned something new today in today's video. Thank you.